All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to this series of lightning talks. We'll give each topic about 10 minutes, and there'll be room for a couple minutes of questions after each talk. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Zia Faisal from Edley.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Zia Fazal, engineering manager at Adley and also core contributor of edX platform. So I'm here to present a plugin we developed. It is basically implementation of OEP 26, Open edX proposal, which gives us ability to transform Open edX events into XAPI specification or Caliper specification. So that plugin is basically built on the top of event tracking app, the event tracking app which already exists in edX platform, which gives us ability to track events emitted from the platform. And in that plugin, we have added a couple of backends and some processors to basically transform those events which are emitted by that app into XAPI and Caliper. And that plugin also gives us ability to filter those events before routing them to the relevant LRIs. And this plugin has achieved resiliency using edX salary utils. So salary utils is basically a utility which allows us to persist events if they are failed to transform or they are failed to route to a particular LRS. Overview of Caliper and XAPI specifications. I mean, mostly they are similar, but there are a few minor differences. Like if we come to the use cases, Caliper is mostly used for quantitative matrices and mostly in the learning, messaging and learning related data. But XAPI is quite flexible. We can basically track any kind of activity using XAPI. And as far as the data model is concerned, in Caliper, we have those three actor, action, and activity objects. And in XAPI, we have actor, verb, and object. So both of those specifications allows us to add some metadata to our events, and that can be handled in contexts. And the format of both specifications are JSON, but in case of Caliper, that is JSON-LD, which allows us to define our terms on a remote location. Like if we can basically add definitions of the terms in the document on a remote location so that it can be defined. As far as the architecture diagram or the flow, how we transform events and then route them to the relevant LRS. It is basically Open edX emits all those events. And then in the event tracking app, we have added a couple of backends and processors. Those are responsible to create events for the relevant specification. Like the Caliper backend is going to create events for the Caliper specification. The XAPI backend is going to create events or transform events to XAPI specification. And then we have the ability to route either whatever route LRS we use. I mean, we can route Caliper events to a separate LRS and XAPI events to a separate LRS. The use cases use cases of this plugin could be anything like it provides us ability to have near real-time communication. I mean, all those events are near real-time. They are emitted from edX platform, being processed and then routed to the relevant LRS. So anything where we need some real-time communication, these can be used. Adaptive learning is one of the use cases. We can basically push these events to our adaptive learning engines. And the other use case could be that if we have different LMS and all we need to generate analytics from the data coming out of different LMS, we can basically transform events from all those LMS into a single specification, like for instance XAPI or Caliper, and then save those events to any LRS and generate analytics based out of our single location and single LRS there. So this plugin can be installed very straightforward way. I mean, very quickly. It is a Python package on the Python package index. We can pip install it and then run migrations. And since all the transforming work and the routing work is being done via salary workers, so we need to restart our workers if needed. Configuring the plugin is also quite simple. Basically, it does most of the work. As you install it, it uses the plugin features, which are it adds some default settings, and in those default settings, it adds the two backends to the event tracking backend setting, and it also by default enables XAPI, and then we can also set that another setting, which is event tracking backend business critical events. I mean, this plugin allows us to mark few of the events as business critical events. So in case of business critical events, if there is something wrong, if we are unable to transform or send that event to our LRS, that is going to be persisted via disk task utils, and it can then be retried after a period of time so that our events are not lost. Then in the router configuration, we can basically configure how these events are going to be filtered and routed. Like we have a config model, which can be accessed via Django admin, and we can select the backend, like which events to route. Like if we are to route XAPI events, we can select XAPI in the backend. Then we can select the router URL, and then the auth schemes, if router is supporting basic auth or token-based authentication. And then the third parameters is the configuration setting. That is quite interesting. If we use match params part of the configuration, it basically allows us to filter the events based on the keys of the events. Like in this configuration, it is going to filter that the only grab those events where the course ID is this or this. So the rest of the events will be ignored, and only the events which have these course IDs are going to be routed to the router I am going to configure here. And the supported events, I mean, at the moment, this plugin transform these ADX events into XAPI or Caliper events. In these events, we have enrollment events activated, enrollment deactivated. Then the grades events, grades first passed and now passed and the now failed events. And the courseware events, the courseware UI, I mean, when the learner is in the courseware experience, when they click on the different tabs of the course experience, these events are also being transformed into XAPI and Caliper. And in case of video, we have all these video events. When the video is loaded, the video is played, completed, and paused, position change. And in case of problem, we have show answer, demand hint, the time when the hint is displayed, and the problem check when learner has submitted the problem. That's pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for a question while you're getting set up.
Does this plugin works in Twitter, or you think a way
Well,
to?
it's a Python package, so we can use it Twitter or wherever we can install a Python package.
But you tested in Twitter?
We have tested it in the Maple release.
Okay.
Yeah, but not tested in Twitter ourselves. Maybe someone. I mean, it is a Python package. The way we can add dependencies in the Twitter, it can be added as a dependency.
Okay.
And can be installed. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, went to.
Maybe one more quick one. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Next, I'd like to welcome Daniel Quiroga of EduNext for his talk. And you can begin once you're ready.
All right, thanks everybody for being here. My name is Daniel Quiroga, and today I would like to present you this talk about how you can enable multi-course language in the OpenEDX platform. So first, let's see why this is so important, or I believe is so important. The last EDX report, impact report, shows that there are almost 100 million learners around the world using edx.org and OpenEDX powered instances around the world. And the same report shows one of the most ambitious goals of the OpenEDX project since day one, that is reaching 1 billion learners. And reaching 1 billion learners could or might sound a bit impossible, but we will see how we can make that change. So one of the things that I think could help us to reach 1 billion learners is having courses in multiple languages. But the process of translating a course into multiple language is expensive and also requires a lot of effort to translate the content. So let's say you have a course of 24 weeks, so it's really a hard requirement. So nowadays we have these translation services that could help us to do the heavy lifting when we're trying to translate a course. So we have things like AI translation services, machine learning services, text-to-speech, speech-to-text that could help us to translate the course content. This is a small sample of how these tools could work. So this is using the AWS Translate API. So we just download the AWS CLI tool, and then we configure some credentials and make the API call with some parameters and the text. Of course, we want to translate. And then when we get the response, we have this in JSON format with the translated text and some parameters. So that's a way we can use those tools. And in the other hand, in the OpenEDX platform side, we have this project called Blockstore, which is, I think is not new, but it's not well known for the whole community. But Blockstore is a system for authoring, discovering, and reusing educational content for OpenEDX. And the good thing about Blockstore is its design system, because it is based on, I think, 3 principles, like storing small pieces of data instead of large and fixed sets of data that we have right now on Modular Store, reusable content. Since we are storing small pieces of data, we can reuse the content easily between libraries and courses. And finally, since it is a kind of brand new project, we have a very well-defined Python and REST APIs that we can use to integrate our tools. I want to show you a bit of the Blockstore design. So the Blockstore design is really simple. We start with files that could be videos, HTML, or problems defined in XML files. Then we have the content bundles. Content bundles are a group of these files. So we can have content bundles in different libraries. And then we have the collection. And the collection we tend to refer as a course or as a library, but the collection could be anything. Could be a group of course runs or a group or libraries. And we also have these concepts of bundled version and draft versions of content bundle drafts. And the bundle version is the immutable snapshot of the content bundle. So it's like when we publish changes on Studio, and a snapshot of that content bundle is created and allows or deny us to make changes to that content bundle. And the draft is the same we have right now on the studio that allows to make any changes in a safe environment. So yeah, and now I want to talk about this little project that I started as a proof of concept. I just want to be sure that actually works. And I started this plugin, this OpenAS Library Translator plugin. And the concept is simple. When a new snapshot or a new content bundle is published, Blockstore sends a signal that is called a snapshot created. We take the bundle ID. With the bundle ID, we can have all the files associated with that bundle. Then we have a dig of the files associated with the bundle, and we have its data. We retrieve its data. Then, when we have the data, we send to the Amazon Translator API, and when we got the response, we create a new library, or a new library, yes, and a new content bundle to put all the translate files. And yeah, and that's how it works for HTML blocks. And this is how it is working for video blocks. So it's the same. We take the snapshot created signal, and then the Blockstore API, we get its contents. We read the transcript files that are associated with the file, and we take the SRT files, and we send it to the Translate API, Amazon Translate API, and again, when we got the response, we create a new library with the same video, but we edit these contents, and we put the translated service. And let me show you a short video of this working. That's not working. Right here. Yeah, thank you. So for this project, we are using the library authoring MFE, which is the only way that I could interact with Blockstore. So we have to enable on the EDS platform installation. We create a new library. We add a new HTML component. We add some content. We had to use the source edit table tab because we can use the normal way to edit the contents of the course because of some problems with the MFE and the studio in the studio side. And then we will send it when we publish. We have the translated text in a new library. And we can edit, we can curate the content, and so on. So now, we are creating a new video blog. Again, we upload the SRT file associated with the video. We edit directly the XML to associate the video and the transcript file. And then again, when we publish the changes, the snapshot created signal is sent, and we have our own process, and when we got the response, we have the video with the transcript translated, in this case, to Spanish. Uh, as all projects have some challenges that we have to face when we're working with this. One of the challenges, the creation of the content, because even if those translation technologies are cutting edge and they are very advanced, sometimes they have some translation issues, and probably the content is not translated correctly, or maybe the cultural specific things have translation issues, so we have to curate the content. The second is the translation services pricing, because we have a lot of services out there. And I tried the Amazon Translate API, and then allows you to have 2 million charters per month for 12 months in their free tier, and then charge you $50 per million of charters. And we have different, I check Azure Translate and Google Translate AI, and they have different systems for pricings. And finally, Blockstore itself is like a challenge because it's adoption time. I believe the adoption time may take longer than is expected in the community, and also we had issues with the front-end app library authoring to implement this Blockstore. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Daniel. While the next presentation is being set up, if you have a question, that's fine. Yes.
Are you storing these translations locally, or they are being translated every time the block is loaded?
Yeah, they need to be translated every time you publish a new content bundle, and I created a new library to store the translated content.
So you are storing those translated?
Yeah, it's actually Blockstore, which is already selling storing this content. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can pass the microphone. And next, I'd like to introduce Jean-Baptiste, who joins us from FUN.
Did you hear me? Yeah? No? Oh, okay. So, check. So, hello everyone. My name is Jean-Baptiste. I am developer at France Université Numérique. First, a quick word about FUN. We are engaged in the open source world, so you can find and use all your solutions through your GitHub repository at OpenFUN. We are building media services like Marcha, video streaming, and live platform, collaborative tools like Ashley, LTE forum application, learning analytics solution with Podzy and Ralph, then finally, course catalog and marketplace platform with Richie and Joanne. Today, I'm here to tell you about Joanne, but before that, I need to give you a quick oversight of what is Richie. So Richie is a LMS agnostic course catalog platform. It is based on Django SCMS in order to provide a multilingual, fully customizable tool and author-first content editing with advanced access rights and moderation. Furthermore, it offers a powerful search engine based on Elasticsearch. At FUN, we are currently operating 3 platforms with Richie: FUN MOOC, FUN Corporate for the professional learning, and FUN Campus oriented on the full-time education, whose count around 3 million of users. We enjoy to see your contributor community grows over the time. We thank you, Canadian team and of EduLib, and more recently now Portuguese team, which recently deployed in production their training catalog based on Richie, so thank you. With the idea to transform this training catalog to a marketplace, we decided last year to create Joanne. So right now, what is Joanne? Joanne has been created with the idea to power up a course catalog by adding e-commerce features, focus on lifelong learning by allowing to administrate and sell several kinds of training. At FUN, your goal is to create a universal platform where students will be able to gather all his training courses and certificates throughout his life. In the manner of GitHub, where with only one account as a developer, we are able to work on a personal project, join organization team, and work on private repositories to contribute to open source projects, all along your developer life, your activities gather through only one account, which is something really interesting in terms of user experience. So let's take a look at what is Journey. Then I will present you where we want to move on in order to road this universal platform. So what is Journey? Journey has the ambition to become an ERP service to administrate and sell several kinds of training, certifying or not. Technically, this is a multilingual API-based service able to integrate itself with any online course catalog in one side and any LMS in other side. So let's take a look at the main feature Journey has. First, an enrollment API. As we are currently doing in Rechi, Journey is able to manage enrollment from connected LMS. So an API endpoint is available to manage cross-front enrollment. It also aims a full-feature e-commerce API, which manages payments, invoicing, ordering. Currently, we are interfaced with a French payment provider, Payplug, but as an open-source project, we have to keep things modular, so payment interface is easily overridable to fit to any modern payment provider. Furthermore, Journey also integrates a certification delivery system. So, as a first milestone, with an enrollment API, with a payment API, and a certification delivery system, we are able with Journey to sell micro-credentials which deliver ACTS valuable certificates. This is the first milestone should be available on your platform framework in the next weeks. So now I define what is Journey today. Let me show you what we want to next. First, we need to build a dashboard. Currently, the user does not have a dashboard integrated into your catalog, which is not convenient to access to purchase training on the platforms, as user has to go to on each course syllabus to retrieve related trainings it owns. So we just start to build a dashboard based on Journey inside on your catalog in order to address this issue. In this way, the user will be able to retrieve its purchase courses, its certificates, and of course, administrate its personal information. We're also thinking about a notification system which could be really interesting for students and course leaders. In one hand, student could mark its interest to a course and be alert when a session opens, and in the other hand, the teacher could see if the interest on one of his courses is high, and so decided to open a new session if needed. Then, the big part, we plan to create a real B2B e-commerce feature with the idea to simplify the access to learning to people in the lifelong learning context. We need to build a B2B e-commerce service. The main feature we need is a complete user role management and access rights system. Especially for enterprise, we have to be able to manage cohorts. And finally, we need to propose advanced subscription mode to fit to several scenarios, to the single user who would like to purchase a certifying course, to the enterprise which would like to have a training catalog open to its employees. As a first steps in this long journey, we decided to use a user-centric approach to define the needs. So since the start of the year, we have organized 6 workshops with school leaders of your university partners to design a lifelong learning platform would they like. To do that, we use an iterative approach to build workshop after a workshop, an interactive mock-up of this platform. The main feature that emerged to this work is the need to have an application form feature to enroll to a course. So let's take a look to these first mock-ups of your future catalog powered up by Journey, and in particular to the application form feature. Oh, it's not the right screen. Yeah. Hop là. Ah, okay. Yeah, this is the one. So as you can see, we design mockups for 2 personas, a student here. If you don't speak French, it's here in blue. And for course leader in red. So let's take a quick look about the application form. So if we go up. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So on a course syllabus, you can see here a little block which detail the content of a micro-credential training. So this is the title, there is a price here. You can see that it's composed of three courses, one about AI, one about big data, one other about machine learning, and it delivers certification with 6 ECTS credits. But as you can see here, if you speak French, you have a button here not to purchase the course, but to apply to the course. So when the user click on the submit an application, it is redirected in its dashboard in the course view. Then it has to fulfill its application form. With the idea to keep this kind of form simple as possible, we try to separate data in section because there is a lot of data to fulfill. So here, for example, for this application form, we have 4 sections. You have some tips to know if the section is fulfilled or not. Here we have some engagement words. You can click here to complete the not fulfilled section. Oh. And yep. So here the form of the application form when you fulfill the section, and then when the application form is fulfilled, you can submit the form. Then a course leader will receive a notification, can review the form, just reject some parts, and you just have to update this part to resubmit the form, etc. And from the teacher, the course leader point of view, as an application form has to be could have some specific needs on a course. We need to have an application form builder, so the course leader will be able to create an application form per course. So this is almost the same function. We have the course leader can add some section in its application form, then add fields inside this in section, and then create, submit, publish the form, and that's all for the application form part. Yep. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Get set up. We have time for one question. And that's okay. Thank you. Okay. So one of you can have the headset and the other can take.
Thank you. So I'm going to present to you an alternative solution to reporting analytics in the form of Google Data Studio dashboards using data sourced from the OpenEdX database. So our OpenEdX platform now, it is the Portuguese national MOOC platform that has courses mainly in Portuguese to the national population as well as other Portuguese-speaking countries. As an online course platform, our main goal is to ensure the continuous improvement of our courses to maximize their performance, their success. And in order to do this, we have a need to collect and analyze data from learners and their behavior. Specifically using data visualization tools such as Google Data Studio, then allows us to transform the large volumes of data that we collect into readable formats. So we have a goal of providing our partners, the course creators, with the means of easily accessing and visualizing data that is relevant to their courses. And so we have created these easy-to-use dashboards. We identified that the current analytic solutions of OpenEdX have some limitations, and our solution, although it is not an alternative to reports such as insights, since it does include slightly different information, it serves mostly as a complement that can be adapted to include any additional information that you can't necessarily present from other means. We found that real-time and dynamic reporting do have the advantage of being able to present always the most current and up-to-date information, and specifically our dashboards, that the data is updated on a daily basis. And in addition to that, by having interactable dashboards, the user can then filter and adapt the data that they want to see according to their needs. We have recently also updated our dashboards to a simpler and more intuitive structure. We focus only on the most relevant indicators and really focused on improving the readability of our dashboards. We found that often having simpler and more concise dashboards is often a better solution than having overly detailed and very complicated dashboards. I will now give you just a quick tour. So this is the main page. We have just some general data about the platform in itself, so our growth since the beginning and just some basic numbers. And then we have links to 6 different screens that each one of them focuses on a different topic of analysis. I will focus only on the 4 that have data from the OpenEdX database. So this is the first one. It lists all of the entities, courses, and course runs from our platform. The tables are interactable. So if you select an entity, it will then filter the other tables and so on. The purpose of this page is mainly just a general overview of the courses that the platform provides. And we focus mainly on the enrollment indicators. So you can then use it to evaluate maybe the relevance of the courses. This next page provides a deeper look into the courses. We have indicators such as enrollment, certificates, grading, conclusion rate. And here we added the 3 drop-down boxes at the top, which allows you to then filter according to whatever course or entity you wish to see. And then we also added tooltips that allow you to then add any additional information or any explanation that you may want to add. Next, we have the activity page that, as the name says, it's generally the activity of the course, so you can see any peaks that you may want to then analyze better. And in addition to the 3 same drop-down boxes, we added the data range, so you can filter the data range that you want to analyze, and also the granularity level of the graphs can be adjusted to monthly, daily, weekly, whatever you may want. And then finally, we did add a characterization of the students. This was mainly from the feedback from course creators that they want to know who are the students that are enrolled in my course. So we added this so that they can visually see a better understand their students. Next, I'm going to pass to Ivo. He will explain the more technical aspect of the solution.
Hi. So we have, you can use our dashboard. We have a short link for dashboard technique presented. On the technical part is very small. We have a small Python open source project that has a bunch of small Python scripts. So those scripts runs 7 SQL queries against our MySQL database replica. We run every night at midnight, and yeah. So what we have those 7 queries. Each query creates a table that is a result. The table it's created in memory, and we populate a sheet on the spreadsheet. Or like we have two modes, we can create a single file with with 7 sheets. With one query creates a sheet. Or to integrate with Google Data Studio, we update a single Google sheet, like we have on this screenshot. Each query is one of the sheets. So we have a query for our organizations. It has the information about our partners that we have on the OpenEdX data instance. We have the second query is about the course runs. We also queried how many students we have enrolled for each course, and how many certificates, how many has completed. And we on the third query, it's kind of slow. We also ran a bunch of unions, SQL unions, that we have some indicators by day. And on the fourth query, we query about our enrollments. We also include the information about our users.